Let's see how to remove this metal piece. You want to remove it and put it back if you are replacing the batteries. I have a video showing that. But so this piece, it's very stiff in there. And also notice that it has 4 legs, 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top. This one, I'll call it the rear or the upper legs, this need to get into a slot. And that's very difficult sometimes. Be careful, if you bend them, they will never get to sit properly. So you don't want to bend them, don't force on them, either when you remove it or you put it back. Now look from this angle, you notice the metal piece sits flush with the plastic inside. There is no gap here. That's the correct position. It doesn't matter the rotation of this pin. So I'm going to use a flat screwdriver, but you are much better to use the tip of a sharp knife, but a tip that it's fairly strong, not a weak knife, not a very tiny knife, something that is strong enough. So I'm going just to force a little bit to insert the screwdriver underneath. Now, this is the first pop. So to pry it out from there, I'm going to pry it. You can try here, but I'm going to go on one side like this and just put my screwdriver on the border here and just kind of leverage like this. But I can tell you it's not easy. It takes some force. So again, try to put the tip or whatever you have, something rather strong, has to be so it doesn't bend, right? Your tip. But try to put it inside this corner here. Don't force too much on the tab towards this other end. So try to put it no further away than on the corner there. Perhaps you can tell. So I'm going to pry it upwards. Don't be scared, but try to insert it underneath as well as much as you can. So it's not really obvious the way it should come out. Right now it's detached completely. Let's try to put it back in place. So first, these are the 2 tabs. Notice how they are. This one, and they have a slot. It's difficult to see because it's dirty, but there is 2 holes in there and you need to place them in there. Also the front ones, so these are kind of, I call this perhaps the rear ones. Notice the angle they make. There is kind of a bend, an angle, but there is also front ones. So there are 4 tabs like this. That's why it's tricky. So to put it back in place, I'm going to place first the 2 front ones. Okay. Again, just look for the slots. You will see them because the plastic is dark. You cannot see it properly on this video. So that's the 2 slots, front ones, that must engage first in their cuts, in their slots, basically. And we are going to press a little bit downwards. Let's try to press with my finger. So this one, it did engage. The right one, it did engage as well. Both front ones did fully engage at this point. I still have this gap here. Notice my screwdriver does go underneath. So I'm going to press with my finger in the middle of this tab. Press with force. It takes force, but also try to look with a good light to make sure the 2 rear tabs here, they are inserted in their own slots, because if they sit on the side of the slot, no matter how you press here, it's not going to engage fully. So again, check with a strong flashlight. So I'm going just to press downwards here. Take some force. It's not that easy. You notice perhaps the sound it makes, the noises it makes. It does. You have to press with some force again. And now make sure it's fully engaged on both sides. The gap here is gone. And notice a bit if you want, the height of this piece here. That's a kind of a reference to know it's fully engaged. Also from an angle. So the front may want to press down just to make sure it's fully engaged. And same for the rear one, but if this gap is closed, then the rear are engaged. So it's fairly tricky to remove it, but again, you just do this if you replace the batteries. I just want to point out another thing. This is the kind of second generation. I had the, sorry for the gross hairs, but it's just hair on my head basically. This is the second generation. The first generation, this piece was much stronger. This one, the second generation, you notice it has kind of two tiny tabs here that kind of flips on it. If you are removing this piece oftentimes to clean inside, these tabs will get loose at some point. The piece will not stay there. So my advice is flip this piece, just put it back. Maybe I'll try to do this past the camera, it's really awkward. So basically those two tabs engage inside somehow, and then you just press down on the piece. And if the metal piece inside is properly inserted, this one will sit correctly, flush. It has no gap. If the metal piece inside that we did remove and replace is not properly seated, there will be a gap here. This is going to feel like it's a spring when you push on it. Again, try to open this the least times possible. It's usually not necessary because there is very little hair getting in there, but don't open it too much. And also perhaps you notice my piece of tape. That's because there's another issue with this model. These kind of tabs, which are the adjustment tabs to move this piece back and forth, are very poorly designed. So this piece is no longer keeping in place at the correct settings. That's why I need basically just to put it at the correct setting, and I just use a tape like this. Unfortunately, but that's the cost for having this. Otherwise, I like it. It's still sharp after quite a bit of use. And again, whoops, that's my piece that went on the floor. Just like I said at the beginning of the video, I did have to replace the batteries. I do have a video. It is not so difficult, but you may want to just look at the other video. This is what I use. These are the Energizer, just standard, rechargeable, obviously. Now, these ones, I think, are the most powerful, 2300 milliampere hours. You don't need to buy them. These are the more expensive. The name is Power Plus, the blue print there. But you don't have to get these ones because I think even with the basic ones, I'm not sure which are the lower one, maybe 1500 milliampere or so. Even those ones are going to be good for several, I would say at least 1-2 hours or more of operation. Because only if you charge it fully, because this takes long to charge. With the original charger, even though the original batteries are, I think, were nickel cadmium ones, these are nickel MH. I'm not sure what MH is, or something like this, but they still charge fine. But you will have to charge them for at least, I would say, 6 hours or so, 5, 6, 7 hours or more. Still, don't leave it overnight in the charger, because the original charger may not detect when the battery is fully charged, and then you may have a problem. It may catch in fire or so. So don't leave it unattended. Put it on a hard surface away from any material that may catch in fire, that are combustible, and just don't leave it unattended, and don't leave it to charge overnight. Just put a timer, something 6 hours or so from empty, right? 6 hours from empty, and you can use these rechargeable ones, Energizer, Duracell, or anything else. And nickel MH, I think it's the type of battery.